Just got to put my script away. That's all I got to say. All right. What else do they need? They need more BKB buyers because without once you pop BKB, Disruptor, Tiny do nothing. Pangolier heavily
10
reduced
seconds
effectiveness.
remaining.
So that'd be the MO for me, or just heroes that are
5
able to
seconds remaining.
dodge out a lot of this
Dire
aggression. I
team pick.
suppose that's a natural early BKB buyer. Quite like it. Really, you don't know where this is going to be either. Actually, this is a great pick by Execration. You know, it could be a Marana plus Marcy lane. They've still got possibly Shanks' hero still to come. It could be a Marcy
10
played as a
seconds
4
remaining.
together with the Razor in the off lane. It's so many possibilities
Yep.
for Execration. I love this.
5
Yep.
seconds remaining.
And again, this is what happens when you ban out the Bloodseeker because you're having to protect your Pango. They've got these options to be able to go for these heroes that are just going to run at you.
And I don't really know if people have a great understanding of how to deal with the Razor. Like at the moment, yes, but like I was just going to say it's banned out. And we saw yesterday the Viper was played, actually looked pretty decent, but you can't fit a Viper. And in fact, that was, I think, no, that wasn't Execration's response. That was Army Genius's response, was the Viper in the first phase. But you can't fit it in here. Like
I would Terrorblade. I would Terrorblade right now for EHOME. I think if you don't have the Death Prophet, the best option is just get as high damage as possible because spells are always going to proc the God, what's that even called? The Forked Lightning, I think, or something like that for the Razor, his shard.
Storm Surge, right?
Storm Surge, sure, why not? And then it doesn't always happen on right clicks. This is fine too. Just anything that does big amounts of damage, right? And Razor, not one of those heroes that likes to buy armor as well. So something like the marksmanship is going to be pretty good. It also buffs up the Tiny a little bit, I suppose, just with the attack speed. But no, I quite like this. It might mean that they need to switch up. Like a Drow Disruptor seems like a pretty miserable lane, to be honest. But I guess they could make it work. I mean, MKS is a really good Drow player.
He is. Yeah, he very much is indeed. I think there's still potential for that Night Stalker even more now with the Drow Ranger getting picked up. I think you're fine with not really having a win condition. You could end this game incredibly early. And the Night Stalker just... or the two heroes you said before, and now with the Drow Ranger as well to get on top of him. So I think that's a potential you can go down. You can still put Razor as a 1 and look to go for a different 3 to potentially address the Drow. If
you go one Night Stalker.
Yep, yeah, and then, yeah. So there's a lot of different options I think Execration have, and I don't know if this is going to be a fun Drow game. Ember can get on top of you. Marcy's going to be able to jump you. Razor's a blink buyer, especially in a game like this. And you don't really have heroes to put in front of the Drow Ranger. Like, it doesn't look like a free game.
So the thing is, I feel like what EHOME did pretty well last game was they got out of the laning stage in a pretty decent spot, except for Palace. Palace did a great job in his lane, but all the other lanes, I'm pretty sure, were EHOME favored. Even like the second, third, and fourth highest net worth at like 10 to 15 minutes into the game were all them. And Drow and Tiny are two of those heroes that really like to use that great start to be able to completely take over the game. So I think EHOME are just trying to pick up the pace a little bit here, and they want to make sure that they could do that before these BKBs start to come out. Drow can address a little bit. You still deal good amount of right-click damage into the BKBs, but if they don't care about just being able to run on top of you because all that lockdown's going to be ineffective on both Ember, Razor, and Marcy, then I feel like you're going to be in a lot of trouble. So anything that's just going to be fast, fast, fast on EHOME is what I want to see.
Do you think that is kind of the same for Execration as well? Do they need another fast hero?
No, I don't think they need it. Like, because you can outcarry a Drow. I think that's totally possible. I think they just need a way to be able to counter it effectively. Pudge is fairly fast, I guess. Where are they trying to run this? Maybe mid? Mid Pudge against the Tiny feels decent. And maybe it would force Pango to be played mid as well. Not sure. I guess the damage is kind of like relatively slow intervals outside of that. And I quite like the Slardar. Slardar into a Pudge is, in my opinion, one of the biggest counters. So it's going to be Zhao Yu laning into Palace. So actually this should work out fairly well for EHOME, at least in terms of the laning stage. What are your thoughts?
I thought they were going to avoid the Pudge Slardar lane. I'm kind of surprised they're not. I actually don't. I think EHOME have a really big advantage with this last pick in regards to their lanes. You can't. Pudge is going to struggle versus a Drow Ranger. I think the only way you would play that lane is off the back of somehow getting kills, like Marcy Pudge lane. To double melee is thirst. Like you have to, if you don't get kills, you're going to lose that lane very, very heavily. It's very volatile. So I don't know. I feel like this is the big advantage. And you were just mentioning it as well with the fact that EHOME, their lanes went pretty well last game. I think it's going to be the case this game as well. So they need to use that to their advantage. But I don't know. I'm still very hesitant on the Drow. But I think they've got their lanes make me a little bit more comfortable with their lineup.
Yeah, I mean, the thing is, Execration, I don't think that they're going to be playing very... I say aggressively, but they're going to be putting a lot more emphasis into farming, in my opinion. Of course, if in the lanes there's an option to go for kills, they're going to take it. You know, you've got a Pudge and a Razor. They're fairly strong laners. But in terms of like making these big smoke rotations or making any like position 4 full rotation across the map to try and get a kill, I don't think that's going to be happening. I think they're going to be putting a lot more emphasis onto just securing their farm, getting into those BKBs as early as possible, and then only making the TPs happen if it's for like a counter initiation purpose, if you're the ones getting dived.
Prepare for battle.
I think we're in store for a pretty good game though, nonetheless. I do really think this Slaughter kind of helps out with some of the issues that I had with their lineup. So we'll see. It's not an easy hero to be able to execute though. It also is very, very hot and cold.
Oh, for sure. See who's going to get caught out by who with a lot of this vision. They see LWW walking in. The double sentry ward available. Just want to highlight Carlo's item build as well. Really enjoy this one. I mean, just to be able to break down the tree line, to be able to secure that that range creep a little bit more easily with a Quelling Blade. And again, you've got such a long attack range against what's probably going to be 2 strength heroes. They get a hook.
Oh, all right. Just question who they give first blood over to. And they want to give it a bump, but Palace will take it.
They seem to think that it's on the... Well, they're like, which side is it on? Their side? Our side? Where are we going to go? I mean, you just got to put the sentry ward inside the river and hope for the best, but if you do that, then you're running at risk of getting hooked once again.
See if they actually bring multiple members here in EHOME to contest this. Execration were considering about venturing into the jungle to try and take that bounty, but not the case. So we'll be a 2 for 2, and of course with the first blood picked up as well for Execration.
Man, Carlo is just deforesting the Amazon rainforest right now at the bottom side, making sure that there's nowhere for these melee heroes to be able to run from. He just wants to be peppering them with arrows at all stages of this laning phase. And I mean, for someone like Salad, he's going to absolutely hate that. No armor to be able to play around with. You can see he's holding onto a big tree right now. And that's why he's got the double set of tangos, just so that you're always going to be able to try and out-trade. I really like this build from Carlo. He just, of course, needs to make sure that he's not too out of position, but it should work out fairly well for him and prevent Palos, despite having relatively low armor, from doing a decent time. And just have a look at Palos as well. Look at his build and look at his quick buy.
Yeah, that was the one thing I was going to mention, that I actually feel like maybe they're happy with Palos getting first blood, because it's going to be an early chainmail that comes out. He's going to have so much armor to play this lane.
They're going to kill another one on LWW. We're kind of expecting him to die a few times just because he's up against the Ember Spirit in this game, but not twice at 1 minute in.
And this lane can get really difficult pretty fast here as well for EHOME top. The double ranged is not easy. If they're able to close the distance, it's a little bit more difficult now with kind of the nerfs to the Marcy. They've also cut down the tree line as well to try and make it a little bit more difficult for Shanks to find that opening, but their positioning has to be so on point for EHOME up top.
Yeah, I mean, it's rough for sure. I mean, thankfully, it's a little easier than it used to be, just because, you know, Marcy doesn't have that ridiculous range on the rebound anymore, but it still feels nice to be able to punish a single moment of poor positioning. Nicely done by Shanks as well, although able to secure the range creep with that small camp pull was LWW, so lane should start to push back towards a little bit more safety for MKS.
Now I do wonder how comfortable Knight is going to be on the Pangolier. He's gold tier, so has played a decent amount, but of course it often it's Xiao Yu who really is that Pangolier player, and I at least yet haven't seen Knight play the Pango so far. I didn't have the opportunity to cast too many of back then Unity's games through the group stages, so we'll see how he's able to shape up. It's not the most difficult Pango game. Like, really, all he has to be worried about in regards to his Rolling Thunder is, like, the eventual BKB into Dismember.
Yeah, it's like, sort of like his maybe second or third tier of heroes that he likes to pick. So, you know, it's not like a complete niche hero for him where he has no idea what he's doing. So I like seeing that. And all of that regen to its full effect. And it's all about just making sure Palos has a good start to this one. He wants to get into that early phase boots, provide that little bit of extra movement speed, as well as the armor. Another death for LWW. And then if he could get, of course, the Aghanim Scepter, the BKB, and the Blink Dagger on Palos, that should be enough for Execration to completely take this one over. Try and go in onto him, and he's like, you know what, Flesh Heap plus my additional 8 armor, not a chance. Really have been big improvers, haven't they? Just with a lot of their small decision making on Execration.
Yeah, I think the item, in particular, the item decision making is really been the one to look at for them. Something I've been really impressed by, and something that you have mentioned as well through some of the games that we've casted of Execration.
Mm-hmm. I've been highlighting Tino a fair amount, but this time around it's Palos just knowing exactly how he's going to address this laning phase. Even just a nice little hook there onto the big Satyr creep on the bottom side, preventing this lane from pushing out and being in too risky of a spot. Of course, up against a Tiny, once he reaches that level 3, you never want to be in the risk of getting tossed back underneath a tier 1 tower and giving away too much of this farm for free.
Radiant structures are fortified.
I feel like Carlo's even tanking up a few of these Bash of the Deep procs as well, just making sure that Palos isn't the one that's going to be targeted with a lot of that.
I don't know about that glyph. It's like he was,
What was it even for?
I believe, mid trying to keep the wave alive a little bit longer, but Pango wasn't going to be able to regen up and TP back, so Bob has shoved him out, and he's off to a great start. 3 points in the slight, wanting to actually play a little bit more for his own game. This bottom lane, Mirana, yeah, he's in trouble. Carlo will be able to get some distance, and now Palos is on the hunt, trying to close the distance onto Xiao Yu. Never easy to be able to hit the hook onto the Slider, so he isn't even going to consider that.
Again, has plenty of regen on Carlo, so he'll be just fine. Just looking to hug that flag bearer creep as much as possible as well. Actually, never mind, it's already gone down. But yeah, every little bit of passive regen that you can get, he's going to look to try and take maximum advantage of. And I mean, look at what it means. The Xiao Yu Slardar lane, he's still top of net worth for his team, but you would expect for him to be in a much better spot up against this Pudge. It's one of the biggest counters, I think, in the game for Pudge.
Yeah, and 800 net worth difference is... You picked the hero to have a better time. Like, this is not what you're hoping for at all, and we were really expecting the lanes to go much better for EHOME, but... Big props have to be given over to Execration. Very impressive with their start, but what can they look to do with it though? Like, is there one person in particular we need to keep our attention on to maybe snowball the good start that they've had off the back of the lanes?
No, I don't think they need to snowball at all. Again, it's just about farming for me. I think they need to get up into that those BKBs on Pudge, Razor, and the Ember Spirit, even to a lesser extent the Marcy, if she's able to get into it as well. It just gives you so much more freedom to not care about the Pangolier or the Tiny or the Disruptor at all. And then it's all just about taking out the main portion of damage, which is MKS. Or they might be able to, speaking of him, get that kill onto him. Nice use of the Gust though. Stops the rebound mid-air.
Forced to go for that early level in the rebound with how tough the lane he's had so far in MKS. Bottom of the net worth out of all the cores, and means that Tino's gonna have the option to go whatever route he wants to here with his itemization. Last time we did see Tino play this, actually top lane, MKS. Some trouble. They're gonna try and TP Knight in. Rolling Thunder's at the ready. They're going to put them all grouped up at the moment. The Delta split, so they'll go towards the Razor instead. They're still going to be cautious, though, because Bob's going to rotate Remnant into the Slight. An easy kill for them to find, and they don't even get Tino as well. Ducks into the tree line to keep his own life, and now they might be able to get more as well. As Knight's in trouble. Bob's got to Remnant up in a couple of seconds. Maxed out Slight, so they can easily chase him down under the tower, and Bob will take the aggro as well, so Shanks will survive.
Oh, just misses out on the avalanche there onto the retreating Shanks. Might have been able to pick
a
up
lot of
another kill up
TPs.
top. It is a lot of TPs, and in the meantime, Zhao Yu was able to get 2 kills onto the bottom side of the map, not just the Mirana, but Palace on his Pudge as well, so it just shows the strength of that Slardar once you get 3, even 4 points into the Bash of the Deep.
Oh. Dude, Tino made it out. 3 heroes continue to chase him. They just look at the tower. Much damage it's taking, man. Oh,
Can't catch me.
Oh, no. Bottom lane, Palace is going to get solo killed from Zhao Yu. So all these armor items doing nothing once Zhao Yu is able to find that Corrosive Haze.
Yeah, Corrosive Haze plus 4 points Bash in the Deep. I really don't want to see him come back down here on the Pudge. If anyone's going to make that sort of movement, it needs to be Ember plus Mirana.
Oh, and speaking of the Ember, getting another kill, and he's off to such an incredible start, and this is not a person you want to give a good game over to. Bob, oh, even another kill, this time onto Carlo, so it's going to be a really great minus timing on Zhao Yu.
Yeah, he overestimated the damage coming through. He's got the 3 points in the Starstorm, thinking that the, I would say, 1/3 HP Slardar would be able to fall down, but at the end of the day, he's still a strength hero. He had a full-ish magic wand to be able to use, so yeah, another kill going the way of Zhao Yu.
And also top lane as well, MKS. A kill gives him the level 6 now. A little bit of gold injected into the bank, which is always going to be nice, but they do lose their tower early on, which is going to make it that much easier for Execration to consider about infiltrating into the jungle, because you will have the Drow falling back shortly. They've already got a really good ward set up. It's actually going to expire in 30 seconds, so they won't get too much usage out of it, but it feels like EHOME, a lot of their game's going to be off the back of this Slardar, but looks like top lane Tino's in some trouble. Glimpse back, breaks the static link. They are starting to move to top. They won't be fast enough to keep him alive, but Bob could get some return kills. Bunch of damage on a Salad. MKS will be able to TP out, however, with Execration putting their intention to deal with the Tiny instead of the Drow Ranger. So a 1-for-1.
LWW was able to hug the tree line as well, not giving away his position. Otherwise, he would have been another little bit of food going through for Bob. He's going into the Maelstrom for himself, so not going the Orb of Corrosion straight into the BKB build that we've seen a lot more of the aggressive style of Embers like to do. I'm still, fine enough with that. I guess they feel that they want to be able to harass from afar, slide a fist up against the Slardar and the Drow Ranger feels kind of nice. But yeah, it's still, for me, it's got to reach that timing eventually. They want another, I want to say 10 minutes on Execration. And if they're able to get past that stage and not lose too much map control, I mean, they haven't lost a single tier 1 tower yet. This next little bit with the siege creeps connecting onto the waves might be fairly key for how this next 10-minute stage of the game is going to go. You can see with Tino, a couple of Wraith bands picked up, just wanting to provide that armor up against the Drow Ranger.
They're going to try and defend bottom. They do have a pretty good ward in the jungle that scouts out into Salad and Knight moving down to bottom.
I wonder if Carlo even tries to drag the next wave or something like that. Just keep them away for as long as possible. Stalling the game out for even another 30 seconds can mean so much. Maybe thinking that Disruptor's playing nearby and they don't want to take the risk of TPing down and just getting glimpsed back, but Disruptor's actually playing mid.
That he is. Shanks glimpse back into the Rolling Thunder. So they will be able to defend their tier 1 tower mid and also get a kill to add to the tally, but they're going to look to make a play bottom though. Instantly recognizing that Zhao Yu is vulnerable. This is a big kill to find. This is the top of the net worth hero in EHOME, and you can't be giving away his life for free, and well, that's going to occur.
Oh, the massive Midas. Oh no. It just came off cooldown as well. Way too deep. Way too deep coming through there. I mean, you're a Slardar. You do not push out waves very effectively at all, at least until you get into the the Aghanim Shard and maybe a little bit of that the level 20 talent. Right? You can then reliably use the Slithering Crush to do it, but until then, you have to be playing a lot more cautiously. Arrow.
Lane. Chain's gonna be long enough to set up for the arrow. So an easy kill for them to find. They might look to put some damage into the tower now with the Unleash usage from Shanks.
With the Swashbuckle being used in onto him, I was thinking maybe they might look to commit a bit further, not having to worry about the disarm coming through. Does he even have a point in Lucky Shot? Never mind, doesn't have a single point there. Really want to see just a singular point in the Storm Surge though from Tino.
We'll have to glimpse away Tino. Will they force out the Rolling Thunder? Knight will use it defensively, but he's in a position where he can bounce back onto the wards. He's still going to be cautious though the right-click damage. So Knight will roll himself away and let Celat and his fellow support in LWW get the finishing blow onto the Marcy.
It's a little bit too much time just spent fighting for not much purpose though, right? You're up against a Drow Ranger who... be very careful. Could have been under the risk of being caught out with that Static Storm, and they might look to use it now.
The Remnant was too early. They found the glimpse back. This is a big kill. Mega kill streak getting claimed there for Knight. Some much needed gold, which is now the Diffusal Blade on the Pangolier.
Pretty big, right? You're able to stop... Like, these aren't heroes with the biggest mana pools. Probably Razor the one with the highest, just because he's got those couple of Wraith Bands giving that extra intelligence. He's got the point booster already looking to... What's he been building it to? Is he going Wraith Pact or is he going Ags?
Who's this, Razor?
Yeah.
It's the
Is he going early Scardy?
Bloodstone, right?
Oh, yeah, I guess so. But I'm much more confident if you went earlier into... Like, he's got to make sure that he's saving for that Aghanim Shard, though.
Tino looking for a solo kill, but they were ready and waiting. Tino just...
mana.
Yeah, this is really big. Continuing to slow down his Bloodstone timing.
See, to me, I thought the way that they needed to play it was, again, not going for these kills. It feels like they're getting way too proactive in trying to get these kills across the map.
You might be in some trouble. Again, venturing too far into the jungle. The arrow's going to be off the mark, but with 3 heroes nearby, should be able to bring him down. He makes it to the river, and Xiao Yu will actually survive. That arrow will cost him in the end.
Little things like that end up resulting in so much more, and they're actually even going to have to reveal this Moonlight Shadow because Shanks doesn't want to give up this tier 1 tower for free. They're going to see that the Mirana ultimate's popped. They hang out together with the Slardar, Disruptor, still with a Static Storm, and the Drow Ranger, and MKS has really started to recover his farm now. Still sitting at the bottom, but it was a much worse tale as little as 3 minutes ago.
This his counterpart in the carry is also keeping up. Well and truly. Top of the net worth from Palace. He did have those couple deaths in the lane, and I was saying it was going to be a little bit difficult for him to play bottom with that strong start, I should say, for the Slardar. So he's been just farming up a storm. This is Septinar completed, so wonder what Palace is going to look to do with this item now.
The prize is mine.
Xiao Yu is really playing on the edge here, just staying out on the map with that, with his HP down at about 20%. I'm not feeling like there's any risk at all. With the good start to the game that he's had, I suppose that's why LWW is looking to play around with him most of the time.
Mid lane,
trying to
Knight.
find Bob here. Oh,
They're going to be onto the Pangolier. Dismember mid lane. Knight will get some distance away. Hook actually does connect. And now meanwhile bottom lane, Bob. The silence is going to be long enough to bring him down before he gets the Remnant out. So a 1-for-1 across the map. Both position 2s will be a casualty of war.
But more importantly, Execration finally get that mid tier 1 tower. So now they can look to make a few more of these aggressive movements, right? When EHOME are trying to farm, you've got your Aghanim Scepter on the Pudge. You've got
Top lane, Xiao Yu. Solo kill into the Razor as well. Okay. How many solo kills is that for Xiao Yu?
I'd say 4.
Dire's top tower is under attack.
This is it. This is how you beat Razor. It's either nothing that targets him with, or nothing that procs his Storm Surge, Aghanim Shard from going off, or just big hits of damage. And that's exactly what
Palos just moves in. Dismember sets up for the arrow. Palos even lands the hook onto Salad as well. We see how much work that Palos is putting in as soon as he completes a scepter, just making play after play across the map, furthering his net worth lead. Now, this is blink completed for the Pudge.
Oh, they really want the glimpse.
Might be able to
They're
get in
gonna get it.
range. They will. Glimpse back. Xiaoyu's ready. Arrow's actually going to connect. And maybe Xiaoyu's the one that's in trouble. They've got the Dismember at the ready. Palace going to lead him with the hook. Actually will keep Shanks alive.
Great hook.
The Gust prevents the Dismember duration long enough,
Yes,
so
yep.
Xiaoyu still will be able to get the damage going, but they can turn it around afterwards. Bob tries to kite him with the Remnant. The chain control disrupted thanks to Carlo's arrow. And in the end, Execration find multiple kills, some really impactful kills as well inside the river.
Yeah, MKS just went way too deep there. I mean, you're a Drow Ranger. You want to be staying on the back lines, but I guess with the lack of vision that they had at the time, he just felt like he needed to. They're going to try and get a little bit more harassment in onto Knight, but I was about to say he's even going to pop the Rolling Thunder, but it doesn't seem like that's the case. What I do like, though, is that Tino is putting a lot more emphasis onto his own farm. He's not going for these solo pickoffs, thinking that he can just take out a hero on his own. Even someone like the Slardar or the Pangolier. They're going to have the escape potential. He's not fast yet. He's only got the 1 point in the Storm Surge. So pop the Guardian Sprint, use the Swashbuckle. They're going to get away every time. And you know, the past couple of times he's attempted it, he's been punished. He's had his Bloodstone timing very heavily
lane. Knight just gets blown up, and also top lane Tino. He does have Mirana nearby, but yeah, not really much. Mirana's going to be able to do this. Also another kill across the map as well as Shanks goes down, so both sides bleeding some kills here.
I mean, that was just another glimpse into the Gust, into a kill. Like, it's like clockwork. They're getting it together with this Drow and the Disruptor once we get past the laning phase, and they're even able to get a free tier 1 tower in the mid lane. It was sitting super low, but no one actually went ahead and denied it.
Dire's bottom tower is
Shadow
under
Blade
attack.
picked up here by MKS. Just wanting his positioning to be as ideal as possible, I suppose.
They're going to invade into the jungle. Celad's got the blink at the ready. They're both grouped up. Gust can come out afterwards, and now they've got Xiaoyu as well to help out with the minus armor to be able to bring down the Pudge. As EHOME, what an incredible way to infiltrate into Execration's territory, and that will now open up the pit.
Well, indeed, and anytime you've got that Corrosive Haze available, Roshan is going to die pretty damn quickly. Even the lucky shot for good measure. Doesn't really feel like Execration could do too much about this one. I mean, how many times have they taken these fights where, I keep saying it, if they just had the BKB, how could things have been different? At the 10-minute mark, I was saying, you know, in 10 minutes' time, that's going to be Execration's big timing. But because they've gone for a lot of these unsuccessful kill attempts, they're still a good, what, 1,500 to 2,000 gold away.
Radiant's top tower is under attack.
And now you've got big issues in regards to how you can itemize to protect you against the physical damage. It's like Slardar's level 15, 16 now. So 2 levels away from having maxed out Corrosive Haze, which is 20 armor reduction, and everyone on Radiant are going to struggle against that.
Radiant's top tower is under
Now,
attack.
it's troublesome, that's for sure. I mean, at least for Pudge, he's got the Blade Mail about to be picked up, but that's still just going to keep him only taking about half of his HP pool rather than the full thing. MKS even lucking out, getting that DD, bottling it up.
Dire's
Who he
bottom
might be
tower
able to
is
catch,
under
and Carlo runs into him. Really good use of just throwing his body in the way.
It's back, Tino. Not a long-range glimpse, though. They got the blink down on Xiaoyu as well. Jump just off the mark. Arrow almost connects onto MKS. They're not really in fighting shape now. A lot of health has been drained. Shanks, he gets the opening onto Xiaoyu. They should be able to bring him down with ease. It's Knight. He's too late to enter the fight off the back of the Rolling Thunder. So great poking from Execration. And are they going to look for more? They're grouping up. They don't have a smoke though? What's going on?
They just gave it over to Palace. For some reason.
See them look to invade the jungle. EHOME, they're not ready for this. Still in the
arrows coming
neighborhood.
up towards the Ancient Creeps. Oh, they're going to back off. Good call. Whoever made that one there, just to go the full-on retreat as Knight in the right position to be able to catch that one out, even thinking that someone might be invis on the mark. Missed hook. They're going for all the right moves, but EHOME, they're just one step ahead.
So time wasted. An opportunity where Slardar was in the grave and they'll get nothing out of it. So respawn is there. Aegis still for another 2 minutes 50. You got the blink on Knight. That's going to help out a lot more with your initiation potential. They're in fighting shape. They're ready to go as EHOME Smoke has fallen. The choice is going to be the triangle. Palos, the only one home at the moment. He has cleared the wave and might be able to blink away. It's going to be up to Sellid if he can get the reactions out. He'll be fast enough. Toss him over to MKS, who has the double damage run as well. Should be able to secure the kill. The kinetic field holding Palos down into place, but the damage, it's still not coming out. Knight finally jumps in to get the finishing blow. He's going to be able to turn his attention over to Tino as well to hold the Razor into the middle of the fight as EHOME find 3 with ease.
And it's just that damage, right? At the very end there, just having a look at the kill summary for Razor in particular. Swashbuckle, 640 damage. Drow Ranger dealing 2 separate right clicks of 800 damage and 700 damage. That's what you need to kill the Razor. Big instances of damage spread far apart so that you're not getting value out of this Bloodstone build. Say it again, Ares. Where are the BKBs? I need to see them. They're getting just completely controlled by this Rolling Thunder. The glimpse, every single time effective. Static Storm, if Palos is able to just BKB, shrug it off, and walk back on in, he's laughing. I really don't think he needed this this Blink Dagger that he's got on the Pudge right now. At least not the second item. Third item, absolutely. So I think we should look to see Execration go a little bit more down that path. Just say, look, past few fights haven't worked out too well. It's been a 6k gold swing. Let's just farm, get our items, and then look to go when we're ready.
Unfortunately, with that call being made, they will have to sacrifice some towers. So this tier 2 tower down bottom will go for free. We'll be able to open up the outpost control. And I even want to look to try and take a fight as well. They're going to try and smoke, sweep across the map. Through the triangle once again will be the call. They might be able to catch up to Tino, moving his way past the secret shop. He's going to be able to connect with some of the teammates now, but the backstab getting set up. They won't have the Drow Rangers. Going to be able to TP into the T2 tower. Just scary position to be able to take this engagement. Are you ready for the fight on Execration? It doesn't look like they are. Is in the lane. Tino gets caught out. An easy kill for them to find and sell it. He's already on Tamora as well. An ambitious TP will be stopped short as once again EHOME fighting multiple members.
Incredibly ambitious. I mean, they're fighting on the other side of the map, which is sort of understandable, I suppose, if it's just the mindset of, well, if they
might be able to get another kill. The chain control has to be perfect, and with Bob committing the BKB, is he going to try and stick around to get the kill onto Sellid?
He's going to try.
Let's see if he's got the damage. Not the case. Remnant in and Remnant out.
So, if their mindset is, look, let's play on the other side of the map to try and farm, at least if they kill us, they won't be able to take any objectives off the back of that by the time we've respawned. Because there was, like, 3 waves down bottom that could have very easily been picked up. Carla was the one, actually, that ended up rotating down there to be able to pick that one. And what's he going for here on Carlo? He's holding onto a plate mail, a buckler. Just as much armor AoE for this team, I suppose. Into the AC on a Mirana?
I don't really hate it in a game like this, but he's like, all right, I need a Ghost Scepter as well. I need to kind of keep myself alive.
I mean, it's a great Wraith Pact game, and that's what Shanks is going for.
Smoke again from EHOME. Carlo will pop it.
He's got to wait for that. I was about to say, he's got to wait for that Ghost Scepter before he makes those aggressive attempts, because maybe you could stall things out a little bit, but still coming his way on the courier.
And this Silver's Edge is going to be a really big issue for Execration as well. Like, this seems a break to be able to deal with this Razor build. Now you're not going to be able to get the Aghanim Shard procs on the Storm Surge against the Pudge as well with the Flesh Heap, so great pickup. Oh, mid lane, nice blink. And that Palace is kind of in the middle, and Dive a really good ward around the triangle. Kind of the backside that scouts Tino moving on over.
He's got the plate mail.
How do they get the start though? Static Storm. Bob's going to be able to play around with the BKB. Now Palace gets a jump over towards MKS, but the defensive force staff out to the right side, but they're going to be able to hook him back into the middle, as this is the opening that Execration to be waiting for, but they need to get more out of it. Jiao, you blink back up. Leaps out to the right side. Palace gets a glimpse of LWW though, so he'll catch up to the Disruptor. Meanwhile, the rest of Execration are also on tonight as well. The Aghanim Shard will only stall this one out. As there we go, Execration do find multiple people after that great start.
Oh, the power of BKB, man. They commit onto the one hero that has it on Execration's side, and it just shows how effective it is at being able to stop all of that lockdown, right? They're able to shrug off the gust. They use the static storm to try and pick off, and they're just like, well, we don't have to care about that. Now they don't have stuff to be able to control our Razor. Now you can actually get off a decent static storm. We could get full use out of the Eye of the Storm, and more importantly, what a great hook coming through from Palace as well, able to land that onto MKS.
And that's so huge now that you get a bunch of net worth into your back pocket. Shanks is a little bit closer towards the Wraith Pact. He's got some armor coming through from the Vlads. Carlo with the defensive item. You've also got some more armor coming out, like Ember's got a Shiva's queued up, who might be BKB still on cooldown, and they're just baiting the room. A beautiful setup. EHOME waiting in anticipation, and now they're going to be able to look for the +1. Carlo, he's got one more leap to work with, but Xiaoyu will be forced stuff forward, and well, his home is the river. Easily able to chase him down. There's no escape for the Marana.
Trying to drag that one out for as long as possible, but yeah, unfortunately not able to commit the Great Escape. Now, I'm still... Wraith Pact is the go for me. Once they pick that one up, I'm feeling a lot more confident about Execration's chances, just because of how physical-oriented this draft is, and being able to reduce it by... Is it still 30%?
Salad?
More than that.
It's a charm. Tino's going to play on top of the creep wave, so they're unable to get the toss back. Still not a good fight for them to take without multiple members. A glimpse away, so Palace will be okay. They're even going to use a hook to get Tino out. So in the end, really not the worst. The fact that you only lose Shanks with 2 heroes being in the grave, I think you'll take that on Execration. That could have been really disastrous.
Tino, he's gotten into the Lotus Orb as well, so it's a nice little way to be able to stop the gust, to stop the corrosive haze as well, at least until Slardar gets up to that level 25, but again, it was a ticking time bomb last game with the Terrorblade for Execration. This time around with that Midas, especially on Xiaoyu. If he hits level 25, then it's going to be a rough one.
Radiant's bottom tower is under attack.
This is...
Their game plan's going to change a little bit on EHOME depending on the time of the game, right? Right now it feels like they really just want to take out that Razor as quickly as possible. They think that Pudge is a little bit too strong. But once they reach that level 25, once they get into the Mage Slayer on the Slardar, I think that's going to change completely. It's just going to be 100% focus the Pudge, take him down, kill him. Because then you don't have to worry about, you know, your movement speed being slowed in the middle of these team fights. You don't have to worry about this, you know, wild hook landing onto your Drow Ranger. I think that's just going to be the big thing that they're playing for here on EHOME.
And do you feel like for them to bring him down, it all comes off to if he can get the BKB off or not on Palace?
I think most of the time he should be able to, at least in this next little bit, right? The game is going to change massively depending on... Great positioning by LWW, by the way. Depending on how these next few team fights go. Because we've got Roche in 10 seconds, and, well, someone's going to need to address this bottom tower because this movement feels kind of obvious with bottom lane pushing all the way in.
Lucky he got a bash.
So board just wearing out.
Roche up and available. This could really turn the status quo of this game. If EHOME find it's going to put themselves further and further in the driver's seat. And the issue is, though, for EHOME, they've had some really big difficulties with being able to execute team fights, especially around the pit.
Becomes a whole lot easier, though, once you pick up things like this Lincoln Sphere for MKS. It means that even if he does get a wild hook, he's not going to be subjected to the Dismember. You're most of the time going to be able to get that retreat, use the Hurricane Pike, create that extra bit of range again. Only 500 gold away as well from Disruptor hitting his own Aghanim Scepter, which would be a pretty huge timing. Then the scenario that you mentioned before with the as long as Pudge gets off BKB, he might be alright, and that won't be a factor.
MKS is going to continue to shove bottom, so Execration, they're going to be forced to address this or not. Maybe they can allow Bob to kind of fulfill that role, but EHOME, they're gearing up for a smoke.
They know. They're just hugging any kind of vision that they've got. Good positioning coming through by Palace.
Indeed, yeah, he can get the jump straight away. It's going to be Xiaoyu that finds the opening onto the Marcy with the follow-up, but Palace, he wants to try and bring down the Disruptor. They don't have the damage at the moment. He's stuck on the high ground. At least he gets the Static Storm off. An awkward start to the fight, but MKS, look at the position the Drowsy and continuing to right-click down the members of Execration. And now they can turn to potentially deal with the Pudge as well as they bring him down with ease. But still, the MKS, he stepped a little bit too far forward as Bob remnants into the middle. They get the turnaround to the Slardar as well, and they're not done just yet. But the buybacks are starting to come out, and Bobby's completely out of mana. So how do you escape on Execration? The toss back into the middle. Carla will go for a TP, but the glimpse will stop him short, and meanwhile off to the northern side, Xiaoyu finds another, as in the end, Execration get wiped.
It's a pretty big commitment with the double buyback coming through, but if you're going to be rewarded with Roshan, I think you are very happy to make that sort of sacrifice. And, I mean, how quickly did Palos get exploded? I mean, he took, I'm going to count up this damage here. 1,000 plus another about, he took 2,500 damage in 2 seconds on that Pudge. And this is one that's top of the net worth right now, specifically itemizing towards having armor.
I don't even know what else you can look to do to itemize against the Slardar now. Like, he's going Shivas. You have so much armor, but it's just not enough, dude. And now he's almost 25. It's...
Well,
might just
Mirana's got reverted from going into that AC into another Lotus Sword, but again, it's gonna not be a factor as much anymore, right? You're gonna be able to not dispel the Corrosive Haze. I feel like if you're gonna go Lotus, it has to be much earlier.
Palos?
They might get a glimpse back here.
They've got the Scepter on LWW as well if they need it, and... Oh my god, look at the damage! And Knight bashes up Tino. They'll find another one as well. Turnarounds there as the chain control is perfect, stopping the retreat. 2 heroes gone without a buyback, and the high ground will soon be under siege.
Bob, even he might be overextending a little bit here with how farm they are. Bash, bash, bash.
Ooh. He's 25 now. Oh, you can't teamfight. This game's looking mighty over.
Chat 5 BKBs, please. Especially in this sort of game where you needed to just find the Drow. That's the biggest issue right now. Slardar, of course, is a worry. Especially a level 25 Slardar where these Lotuses are useless. But if you get rid of the Drow, at least you're not going to be on 0 armor with the Corrosive Haze applying on top of that. Like, that is the biggest issue for mine. That is where the majority of this burst damage is coming from.
Full set of barracks and soon to bottom as well. They might not even stop there.
They 3 finally. The full 3 games.
It's just been out of our grasp for the past couple of days, but it looks like it will not be the case now. One more defense from Execration. Bob up in 15.
They really want this wraparound if they can. They're just going to walk up into it, but you got to find the Disruptor, man.
Palos, can he get the blind hook? Just splits the middle, and now Xiaoyu with a jump. Static Storm off the mark as well. Not the worst start. Tino's in trouble though, split from the team, and they'll bring him down. It's all up to Bob to turn the fight around, as they won't have Palos as well in the bank. As Bob's trying his best, but LWW, he's already used his spells, and Xiaoyu, the perfect timing on the crush. The G's come out, and we're going to a game 3.
I think the outcome of this game doesn't actually indicate how close this was to swinging in Execration's favor. Like, he was about 500 gold on Shanks from picking up that Wraith Pact for about 7 or so minutes. Like, he just died one too many times, gave up his life for free, and again, I'm just a little bit confused about their decision to want to go a little bit more aggressive. That was never going to be the case. You were never going to have this overwhelming damage super early on, where you make these rotations around the map and try and go for solo kills. All they needed to do was get the big counters to what EHOME have, and it just felt like they got their priorities mixed up a little bit, and that allowed EHOME to turn those fights around, get kills going their way, get the net worth much more working in their favor, and then from there, we just saw that, again, I'm going to use this phrase one more time, ticking time bomb. You've got to recognize the biggest threat in the game, And for this one, it was Xiao Yu.
What a performance from the ex-RSG members, MKS as well. Incredible game on the Drow Ranger. That's something you mentioned, that he is very, very comfortable in the hero. 16, 4, and 10, and then Xiao Yu 12, 4, and 13. Great games from both these two members, and from EHOME as well. Everyone else had a hell of a performance, and we get that game 3, and what a series as well to find the game 3, an elimination series. So we get to go down to the wire here with one team potentially moving on and one team going home, and their run stopped short in the Pro Series. But who will that team be? Well, we'll find out after the break.